This is an interesting one. I think we've all been there before at some level. I still feel for my ex after 3 years of being broken up. I've become really picky. How do I move on? Like, I could easily just sit here and say, just get on with it. Clearly that's an immature and insensitive response. Because that's what people say. Like, just move on. Like, just get on with it. Like, just go. I did a video, stop, drop and roll. And roll into a new version of yourself, right? Like, stop the stories, drop the addictions, and roll into a new version of yourself. And in Australia, stop, drop, and roll is like, if you're on fire, this is what you do. Anyway, this is a serious question. So many people suffer this. I've suffered this before as well, and not as long as 3 years, but I've suffered it before, where I've been so attached, so addicted to needing my ex, thinking my value and the way my validation, my sense of self-worth comes from her, comes from who she is, who she's been to me, like our relationship. And then I'm comparing everyone to her. You know, the sex, the way she looks, the way she did things for me, like all those things. What's really going on? What are you really attracted to still? What are you really attached to? What story are you really attached to? Is it really them? Is it really how they made you feel? Is it really the relationship itself? What's really underneath that? I had an exercise once. I did an exercise once. It was given to me by Dr. John Demartini, and it was equilibrating. It wasn't given directly to me. I was in one of his workshops. I've been to a few of his and his teachings many years ago. And it was basically collapsing and equilibrating our perspectives. Because when we are able to see a greater neutrality and gratitude, a greater neutrality in our circumstances, particularly hardship and difficulty, we're able then to move into gratitude, and that hormonal, physiological, emotional response gives us greater clarity into our situation. And so this exercise, an intellectual exercise that lends itself, it moves into the emotional exercise, which then can almost transcend into the visceral, the somatic, and the bodily. And then when we're in the body, we have this real experience, this embodied experience of, wow, I've been seeing this in such a skewed, polarized way, right? And it's a really, really simple message. And it's down the middle of the page. And you may write all the things you like about your ex and all the things that work. And then on the other side, all the things that didn't work and you didn't like. And you really got to make sure that all the things that you didn't like about your ex and why the relationship broke up, you write as many as you can, like you really get them out, and you push yourself to do that to almost exhaustion. Like you've just got to stay there until there are more there than all the things you liked and loved about the relationship and them. And you start to see, oh wow, this relationship ended for a real reason. You don't just intellectually understand it, you actually begin to embody and embrace it. That could help for you. That's just a tangible, practical, pragmatic thing that may help. But beyond that, your worthiness is tied up in that relationship. And the truth is, it doesn't need to be. And maybe that's a pattern that you've had. Maybe you saw your parents like that and you grew up thinking, well, that's how I'm defining the world, through relationship. But it doesn't need to be like that. And so how can you connect to your sense of worthiness for who you are? Now, what did that relationship really give you that you can't give yourself, or that you don't have within you already, that you are not recognizing within yourself? That's another thing that Dr. John Demartini teaches. I don't know why I'm on a John Demartini stream right now, but it's coming through, so we may as well talk about it. Owning the traits of the greats. So in this way, you're changing the context a little bit, but the traits that you see in him, can you own them within yourself? Traits that you see in her, can you own them within yourself? That you bring that value to your life. I'm not talking about being on this self-love train that is all about self-love and not about other people, because I'm a relationships person. I believe we flourish in relationships. I believe relationships are a catalyst for immense growth and transformation on this planet, for the cosmos, for big T, capital truth, right? Big T truth, capital T truth. Yeah, you know what I mean. How we move on is that we move in. We move on by moving in. Let me say that one more time. We move on by moving in. We stop counting and basing who we are on the outside world, and we go within. We start to recognize our value. We heal those wounds, those old wounds of the past that still play a role in who we are today and how we show up. and we stop comparing and we look at the individual for who they are and we get curious about them. We ask questions. What makes you you? We ask questions about their history, about their past, about the way they relate to challenge and difficulty, their greatest fears. We ask them to be vulnerable. We get to know the person for who they are. We get to know their joys, their aspirations, their fetishes, whatever it may be. We get to know maybe fetishes, maybe it's a little extreme, it depends. A conversation for another time. We get to know their fantasies. Let me go there. But we get to know them, and we get clear on our values in the present moment, because who we were 3 years ago or a year ago or in that relationship 6 months ago is not who we are today. But we're basing ourselves on that time because we're so addicted to that pattern of being with them. We're chemically addicted, we're emotionally addicted, we're better than that, we're more than that. And we're different to who we were, and we have to recognize that. So we're attracting a new type of person. Otherwise, all we're doing is attracting similar people with a similar vibration that we're comparing to the very strong memory that we have of our relationship because we didn't want to let it go. Maybe you needed to let it go. And that exercise that I mentioned to you at the beginning may just help you really get over the line, to get the clarity, to create the spaciousness, to be more aware of yourself and your truth. Power and blessings. See you soon.